Hello guys, in this tutorial we'll be fixing a small bug and showing you some good practices and optimizations of what you should do on your Unity scripts. And I'll be showing you that on the simple player script. So first, the bug that's happening, that I really don't know why it started happening, but I'm going to show you anyways. If I put some spikes here and I go with my player onto the spikes, you can see the player lost a life and now he loses another, like it's expected. And if I stay on the spikes a little bit before I lost a life, I don't lose another life because uh, I coded on the simple player script this thing, which is the immune time. I'll explain all of this in a bit, all of the code in a bit, and also we'll fix this low level stuff that is now a bug because in the last update Unity made, I think it's Unity 5.3 point something, they added this scene manager which now we're supposed to use. Anyways, the bug that's happening is that the player should be flashing so that you know, oh, this guy is immune, I can stay here. But right now that's not being shown because the animation that should be doing that is not working. So we're going to quickly fix that. Now the animation here in the animator, in the layers, you can see that the animation that's not working correctly is this player flashes animation, because this is the animation that makes the player flash. If you don't remember this quite well, you should see the link in the description that links you to that tutorial. Anyways, you saw that the animation happened but nothing is happening, and if we open this animation on the animation window, so if you go into the player flashes and play it, you can see that nothing is happening when the player should actually be flashing. And this is because this material thing that we used is not working anymore. I don't know why, but it's not working. Anyways, I'll show you a new way to make the player flash. To fix that, let's create here new material. So create material, and I'll call it white. And this will be plain white. And I'll apply it to the player. Okay, now that's on the player. And right now it's this, and you don't want this, of course. What you want is the UI text shader. And what this shader does is that completely tints the player of the color you put here. So whatever the color is that is in here, it will be the color of the player. And what you want to do is to make the player switch between this color and its original sprite default color. So if you go here into the player, so you see that currently it has the white material. And by the way, I'll delete all this stuff over here. And I can change the material here, and I will make here a new frame that will change the material from white to sprite default, which is the default sprite. And now if I play the animation, you'll see that it's white. And that's because we have to make a duplicate of this frame over here. So now this time over here it will stay white. Then this frame makes the player go to its default material, and during this time until the end it will stay like that. And just make it so that they are kinda the same time, this interval and this interval, so like that. This is a good result. So I'll click here to save the animation, and if I hit play and go into the spikes, you'll see that I flash while I'm immune, which is exactly what we wanted. Okay, now onwards to the optimization stuff. So this is our script. It's a bit lengthy, but still it works fine. Anyways, we're going to start to optimize this. So the first thing that we're going to change is that this get rigid value to this thing. You shouldn't actually use this every time. What you should do is like what we did here with the animator, which is create a reference to it and then use it every time. because every time you actually use this function, it actually requires a bit of processing power, and so just saving the reference to it is much easier. And we're going to do the same thing to the rigid body component. So I'll just put here public rigid body 2D and call it RB. And here I want to make the RB equal to something, which is this. But before I complete that line over there, I'm going to switch all these to RB, so which is the rigid body. So just select this, go on to search, and replace here. We want to replace this to RB, replace all, and right now everywhere that it actually says get component rigid body 2D, it's now RB, which stands for rigid body. Let me see if I can find something. Okay, like you can see every time here is now just RB, but there's actually a place where we don't want that to be like that, which is here. But thankfully it didn't change because it was not like this, it was just like that, and it didn't change, meaning it's still working. And now I'll just do that, get component rigid body 2D, like so, save. Okay, and now we just optimized our code a little bit. This little bit of code, you can make it stay like this, or you can make a coroutine. I'm just going to make a coroutine because it just makes the code cleaner. I don't think that it is any quicker, just it's just a little bit more visually pleasing, I would say. Anyways, an enumerator, immune time, like so. Sometimes something's happening. Okay, there we go. And now we're going to use just a regular counter to make this time go down. So yield return new wait for seconds, and the seconds that we want to wait is the immune time, so immune time, like that. And then after that time what we want to happen is this. But we don't need the line in the middle, we don't need this line because we're no longer using this counter, so we can delete it from here and from here and from here, and we just made our code a little simpler. I'll just now have to start the coroutine by typing here start coroutine immune time, like so, and now you'll see that it will work all the same, like you can see. So that okay. Now on to the next optimizations, and the next optimizations is that we are using the key code A instead of using get button or get axis. So I'll change this to axis and buttons. For instance, we have here the R, and we're going to change this to the restart button. The A and D keys will now be an axis, which actually is the default axis, so we won't need to change. So let's get to it. Here in the editor, go on to edit, project settings, input, axis. Now the horizontal is already set because Unity already sets that up for us. The jump button, we want it to be the W, and I'm going to add a new axis so that I don't change the other ones. Of course, that you can also change one of the other ones. It doesn't make any difference. And I'm going to name this restart, and this will happen when we press the R key. Then whenever it is input.get key down, you can replace this by get button down, and this axis now can be changed to something much simpler. That thing is, if input dot get axis raw, and if you don't know, the axis can get values between -1 and 1, and this axis raw thing makes that value be only 0, 1, or -1. So if the value of the axis horizontal is not 0, meaning if we're pressing a key, then we just want to copy from whatever was inside of here to be in here. But as you can see, there is this little change between the A and the D keys, which is this sign over here. And now, instead of having that sign, all you have to do is to multiply it by the axis. So input dot get axis row horizontal times speed. That will change the direction. Oh, horizontal, and this will be a -1 or a 1 regarding which key we're pressing. And the same thing in here, horizontal. And now we can basically delete this stuff and just leave us with this else, like that. Here we are also using these keys. And like I said 2 tutorials ago, when we did this outside force thing, what this checks is that if the player is gone and if we are stopped pressing any key or started pressing any key. So it's very simple to check that with an axis. I'll just create here a variable for the axis, float previous axis position. So what we want to do is to check if the value of the axis changed or not, and that will be similar to what this is. After we check that, I want to set the value of the axis previous equal to the actual to the value of the axis now, the axis row horizontal. And now to check if we start pressing the A or the D keys, or if we stop pressing them, we can just check if the value of the axis now is equal or not to the value of the axis in the last frame. So if this is different from the previous axis position, then it means that we actually stopped pressing A or D or started pressing it, and then we want to execute this just like it was happening before. I'll now delete all of these parentheses except for that one, and bam, that's done. Oh, now this error, this is because now Unity is using this scene manager thing, and so this is now obsolete, as you can see over here, so we can delete it. And to replace it, first we have to add here using stuff. So using Unity engine dot scene management. So that's the namespace that actually we have to put in any script that you want to do any scene related stuff. And where were we? Oh, it was here. So now we have to type scene manager dot load scene, and this will load the scene that we specify here by a number. And the scene that we want to load is the current scene. So to do that, I'll have to do scene manager dot active scene, get active scene, and this is a function with these parentheses dot build index, and that corresponds to the number of the scene, and this will restart the current scene. Delete this over here because we're not using this restart text anymore. Save, play, and now it will work like we intended. If I press R, you'll see that the scene restarts just like we wanted to, and all of the player still remains working as before, despite we changing all of this stuff over here. The next change, let's see. Oh, here it should have changed to RB, but it didn't. So just replace this with RB to make that cost less time. And here, this is related to the jump. We want this to be input dot get button down jump, like so. And here we also want to make it RB. So for some reason this is red. We don't know why. Okay, I forgot the parentheses. My bad. There you go. And that's done. Here we want to do the same thing. So I'll just copy this to there, like that. This will remain the same. This will remain the same. Is now RB. And now here, oh, none of this stuff changed. We have to do it manually. So RB, and RB here as well. as you can see, we used it a ton of times, but it's not very good programming, so I'm just changing it to what it should be. Here it has to stay like this because we're changing the platform, and the rest is just normal stuff. We don't even need this function, it's an empty one. And that's it for today, guys. I know that it was a bit of a boring tutorial because we basically didn't do anything, we just changed the code, but now it's better, it's more optimized and more like it should be done. I don't promise to do it this optimized for the next tutorials. Anyways, this was the last tutorial that was kind of boring and kind of fixing what I was doing before. In the next tutorials, I'll be starting to do something more fun and something that you guys requested. Anyways, thank you for watching, see you in the next tutorial.